Tom Taylor and Sian Tormey continued the return of Kal-El as Clark and John work to rebuild their lives as a family, but a new enemy rises to threaten the Kents. Tom Taylor continues the threads of the Kal-El return storyline with an issue that puts the spotlight on Clark and John's father-son relationship, and how Clark helping Warworld and being gone for so long affected it. Clark gets to also narrate the issue and gives us a great look on how he views his son, the son of two worlds, just like how he was the son of two worlds when he arrived on Earth. The crux of the issue is John talking to his father about him and Jay, and the very human moment of being scared to tell someone you love someone else. Taylor handled it really wonderfully, and I feel like him being a father himself really helped convey Clark's feelings in talking to one's child about a really deeply personal thing. It's a wonderfully Superman thing to do, and basing an entire issue around it is a really great thing to do. Sian Tormey captures John and Clark's emotions and personal moments wonderfully with bright colours and sequences where it feels like the backgrounds and surroundings just melt away and all we have to focus on are the characters and their emotional moments, something that the story called for and Sian fulfilled wonderfully. Superman, Son of Kal-El issue 17 was a heartfelt and personal issue that aimed to repair John and Clark's relationship with a fantastic character moment and a real show of who Superman is and can be. I'm going to give this issue a 10 out of 10. Superman, Son of Kal-El issue 17 finds Clark and John racing each other to the third planet of Vega. Clark tells himself that he's missed this and he's missed his son greatly as John beats him to Vega 3. Clark tells himself that he really did beat him, but he tells his son that he put it to his cape just slowing him down. John thinks that he just got lost, noting how the sun on the planet feels different. Clark tells him it's because Vega is younger than Earth's sun as they both sit down. Clark catches up with his son, knowing that he overthrew a dictatorship. John reminds his father that he freed a whole world, but Clark doesn't think that it's a competition. Clark wonders if there is anything else John wants to tell him, and John wants to, but disregards it, wanting to race him back to Earth. Clark can tell his son, the man who has faced many monsters, is afraid to talk to him. Later on in Smallville, Clark gives Pa a hand in rebuilding the farm, assuring him they'll rebuild it as exactly it was. Pa knows that Ma Kent wants to make some renovations, and Clark knows it's just like his mother to find a silver lining in a metahuman falling on her home. Pa knows that Martha has a bit of a habit of making good things happen when powered people fall from the sky. Clark knows he should have been there, but his father reminds him that his son can't be everywhere at once, and Jonathan was there to protect them. He knows that watching John step up has really been something, and he's got the best bits of Clark and Lois in him, and the other great bits are entirely him. Pa asks if John has spoken about Jay yet, and Clark thinks he's afraid to, finding it strange how angry that makes him, that the world could tell him to expect anything other than acceptance from the people who are supposed to love him unconditionally. He wonders how his son could possibly believe that he wouldn't want anything else other than his happiness. Pa knows that some fathers don't want that for their kids, or they do care and they are just too worried about how it reflects on them in some cowardly way. Pa knows that John has been through a lot and maybe he resents Clark a little and lost some trust in him. Pa knows that it'll all be okay though, since whatever is broken can be rebuilt. In Metropolis, a man finishes work on a set of armor, rushing to tell his parents, showing the picture he has of them of the armor and how they were so close. But the problem wasn't the Red Sun release like they thought, it was its containment. He knows Luthor is wrong and couldn't see what they were doing, but he could, and now he'll show them. He activates the armor and the building around him explodes, garnering Superman's attention. Superman arrives at the burning building, destroying debris before it falls on anyone as he enters the building to look for survivors. Suddenly, the armored man flings a chair at Superman, which knocks him down as he tells John this is all his fault. Superman, overcome by the Red Sun radiation, tries to deduce who the man is, but is kicked off of the building, told the man's parents are gone because of him. John calls for his father and Superman arrives in a split second, catching John and asking what happened. John doesn't know, but he knows he's bleeding, so Clark races to get him to a doctor. Later at the Hall of Justice, John is mended back to normal, but Clark asks Dr. Midnight if he's okay. Beth tells Clark that John is okay and whatever hit him isn't in his system anymore and his powers should be back. John asks if his father went back into the apartment, but Clark says he didn't and didn't want to leave John. John knows that something took his powers and it could maybe take his father's as well, but Clark assures him that Nightwing is investigating this. John relaxes as Dr. Midnight tries to stop Jay from coming into the room, but Jay just phases right through Beth, checking on John and telling him that he saw him bleeding in some online news. Jay Jay reminds him that while he is untouchable, John is invulnerable, and they aren't supposed to stress out about each other like this. John apologizes and assures him that next time he'll be more invulnerable. John is reminded his father is there, wanting a moment alone with him. John knows that everything between him and Jay isn't exactly a secret, but he was enjoying having his father back and didn't want to have that conversation with his father, since Clark was gone for a very long time. Clark apologizes, but John didn't mind he went away. He minds that he didn't take him with him. Clark thinks that if John told him his feelings for Jay, he would leave again, but John wasn't worried about his father literally flying away from him, but if he saw the doubt and disapproval or even disappointment in his father's face for even a second, that would be enough distance between them. Clark tells his son that when he was a child, he was scared since he was an alien orphan, and there were times where he desperately hid who he was from his adoptive parents, fearing that they would see him differently. He assures John he isn't suggesting that both their situations are the same, but he needs to tell John that every day he has been in his life, it has been better off, and whoever John loves is the last thing that could change that, and anyone who makes John's life better will always be a hero in his eyes, and no matter what, he will stand beside and defend him and always love him like a father. Clark tells his son that he's a miracle child of two worlds, hugging him as elsewhere, Lex Luthor angrily watches the news coverage on Superman's battle, upset that the people are worried for the hero, but knows that they will soon see Clark and John Kent for how he sees them. Lex gets ready to perform an experiment on a captured Gamora Corps soldier, assuring the man that he's going to be part of something very important thanks to Project Blackout.